This is free chess opening lesson, and our topic for today, or chess opening for today, is closed Sicilian. Last time we talked about the open Sicilian dragon variation. This time, let's go with closed Sicilian, e4, c5, knight c3. If you want an open Sicilian, of course, you have to go with knight f3 and then d4. Since we're talking about closed Sicilian, knight c3, knight c6, this is very important move to control the d4 square, because later on this knight will jump here on d4. So let's continue. g3, let's pick this fianchetto variation. e6. Why? Because one of white's plans is to have f4 and to conquer the f5 square. So if you're playing black, you don't want to have the f5 pawn of white. Okay, so let's go with bishop g2, g6. Now two pawns are covering the f5 square. d3, make sure that your direct square bishop has some breather, has some room to breathe. Bishop g7. Please be reminded, if you decide to have this kind of pawn formation, this is called fianchetto, or I also called it house of your bishop. So make sure the bishop is residing here. If you move away your bishop, this square will be weakened and your opponent may easily attack the weak square. So make sure if you build a house for your bishop, let your bishop resides. All right. So let's go with knight ge2. White can go with bishop e3 or f4 and then of course f5. But right now, the f4, f5 is not possible because of these two strong pawns guarding the f5 square. So let's go with knight ge2, knight ge7, another control. So three pieces are now controlling the f5. Why not knight f6? Because white can now decide to shift the attack to the center. So let's go with d4 since the bishop is covered. So in order for you to control the f5 and d4 square, if you're playing black, go knight ge7. So castling, bishop e3. Again, white can go with f4 or bishop g5. But let's go just relax. Bishop e3, develop. Knight d4, immediate. Why? Because white can move the d4. Since white cannot go with f4, f5 idea, one of white's plan is to go and break the d4 and to open the center. Just imagine to have these two wonderful bishop attacking the long diagonal. So white cannot afford to have that. So knight d4 immediately. Queen d2 to pressure the h6. Later on, if given a chance to, you cannot do that yet if you're white because of the knight takes c2. For example, let's say d6 for black. If you move here, that would be a fatal for white. So there is no immediate checkmate. We cannot just sacrifice the pawn for that kind of uncertain attack or uncertain checkmate. So after d6 of black, knight d1. Why? This knight is controlling the b1. If black would go knight check, and then queen takes, bishop here. So this knight is protecting the b2. At the same time, one of the ideas is to go c3, neutralizing the very strong black knight on d4. Rook b8. Of course, the idea is very obvious to go b5, and then let's go c3, capture, b5. This is the 12th move of the game. You may study this opening for white and for black. If we will continue this one, since white cannot go with f4, f5, so where is the break of white? The d4. Earlier, the e4, c5, knight c3, delaying the d4, hoping that white can land the f4, f5, but since no chance to do that, you have to wait for a moment to get your d4 move. So d4, c takes. If you want to use this in your game, in the tournament, you really have to study this one because this is very fun to play with.